Hello, welcome back to Project Onward Artists at Home Quarantine Edition. I'm your host, Alex Oliver. Very excited to bring you another installment, the 22nd installment, in fact. This started as a thing just kind of out of necessity to, keep the artists engaged and keep you, the Project Onward fans and supporters, keep bringing you new content. And we weren't sure if we were going to do it at all or how many we would get a chance to do, and now it doesn't show any signs of stopping. And I'm going to jump right into today's interview because we're bringing you an exclusive chat with the incredible Andrew Hall, one of the founding artists of Project Onward. We have a lot to talk about because he's got an amazing body of work and he's a really talented, interesting individual. So I can't wait to bring him on. Stand by while I invite him to join us. And thank you, of course, as always, for joining us to watch. Should be connected any moment now. Thanks for being so patient, everybody. There we go. How's everyone doing on that end?
Great.
You can take your mask off.
Still getting settled?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Hey, that's all right. Take your time. No rush.
Last minute stuff.
Right on. Can you hear me okay, Andrew?
Yeah,
Excellent. Excellent. I like that mask. Where did you get that one?
I got it online.
Yeah?
It's a lava mask.
It's a lot of mask. Yeah. Looks like
Lava.
Yeah, lava.
Oh,
yeah.
a lava mask. I thought you said a lot of mask. Let me take a closer look. Do you mind? Can I take a closer look at it?
Oh yeah. I got a thing for volcanoes.
Nice. I was actually just looking at your Krakatoa on the Project
Oh
Onward
yeah.
website. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I'll jump right in. That one was one that immediately caught my eye because
Thanks.
yeah, of course. I mean, an erupting volcano seems like something that would be kind of horrifying, and it really is like
No.
an amazing, powerful image, but it's also just done so beautifully. It's black and white, but it's got like this really vibrant quality about it. It kind of sparkles almost, and it's like,
Thanks.
yeah, no problem, man. I mean, I love it. I really do. All your work is amazing. That one's a little bit of an outlier because you're kind of known for this really
Oh yeah.
detailed architectural stuff. And I mean,
Thanks.
yeah, of course, you work in a lot of different mediums, lots of different materials, and you cover a lot of subject matter. But that's something that I think you're really kind of maybe
Here it is. Right
most
here, too.
famous for. Yeah, it's clearly something that you really enjoy too. Can you tell us a little bit about how? Oh, is that
Yeah, that's
Krakatoa right there?
Krakatoa.
Awesome. Can you hold it up
Yes.
a little higher, Andrew?
Can you see it?
Yeah, that looks great.
Thank you.
Spectacular.
Thanks.
What inspired you to make that piece?
Well, here's the thing. I got a thing for volcanoes, and
Hmm.
I always have like an obsession for like they landmarks and the explosions and stuff, like everything around it. But I'm mostly fascinated with like the whole like explosion of a volcano, and they come in different categories, just like a tornado. Like they come
Hmm.
in it's a EFI, a EF 1 or 2 or 3. It's called a VEI, which is volcanic explosive indexivity. Actually, that's what it stands for. So
Uh-huh.
they got category 1, they got category 2, 3, all the way up to 8. 8 is the highest one, which is like Yellowstone, something like that, which is called a super volcano or a super eruption.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a category 6 actually back in 1883,
Uh-huh.
and then one recently, I think back in 2000, either 16 or 18. I think it was like a 4 or 5, so it was more like a smaller eruption than compared to this one.
Oh, are you talking? Wait, are you referring to that volcano in Iceland that erupted a few years ago?
No, I'm talking about Krakatoa.
Oh, Krakatoa erupted again.
Yeah, Krakatoa, yeah,
Oh, dang, I didn't know that. Wow.
yeah. So I keep up with all the seismic activities of
Yeah.
volcanoes all over the world. Iceland just broke a world record for like the highest. I think it's like the highest hydrothermal feature
Uh-huh.
in the Guinness Book of World Records. I believe. I think it was like 2000, either 15 or 17, something like that. Yeah, they did a test, so they drilled down the what they call a borehole. So they
Hmm.
drilled down the borehole and try to see how can they reach down for magma, and they was able to reach down to like down there past the magma chamber, and that's what recorded the world record. So
Wow. Amazing.
yeah, the video on YouTube, you can check it out.
I will. Absolutely. All right, Andrew, this might sound like a weird question, but do you have a favorite volcano?
Yes, I actually got a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
One of them is Yellowstone.
Uh-huh.
I like Yellowstone. I like Mount St. Helens. I look at that video a lot of times, especially with the landslide. You know, with the whole mountains just collapse.
Yeah.
Like the volcano that's interesting. Craters on the Moon,
Uh-huh.
and have and it's another volcano too that I like a lot. Mount Etna,
Wow.
and they of course forgot Mount Vesuvius too. Yeah, Mount Vesuvius.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the more famous volcanoes. Now, I don't know a lot about the science of volcanoes. Definitely sounds like you know what you're talking about.
Oh
How,
yeah.
how about like I mean, you look at some place like Hawaii. I mean, that was kind of that
Oh
whole
yeah.
those islands were all kind of formed by volcanic activity, isn't that
Yeah,
right?
it was. It was.
Uh-huh. That's pretty amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I think I have a feeling we're all going to be going down a rabbit hole tonight researching volcanoes because you've
Yeah.
definitely piqued my interest. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go back. Let's start at the beginning, Andrew, because I definitely want to talk about more of the subject of your art. But I want to know what kind of interested you in art early on. Were you pretty young when you first started, kind of like picking up a paintbrush or a marker and
Yeah, I
doing
was
these drawings?
about yeah, I was about 2 years old when I first started drawing because he
Hmm.
eventually because first who started drawing was my brother and I got inspired by him, you know, when I was younger because we stayed on the west side of Chicago. And so like watched him draw and I kind of picked up where he left off at. So he'd bring drawings home from school and I just like draw all over and stuff and he'd like get mad and he'd look at like, wow, like how did you do that? So I had to go. And then like later on down the line, I started learning how to write my name in cursive.
Right.
Uh, that's how I started off writing like signatures and stuff like that. And next thing you know, I started learning how to write my name. And then I just started picking up crayons, started using coloring books. And then after that, I just like, you know, just took off after that. I just never stopped drawing. And then the first thing I started drawing was people. I was drawing stick figures, and I went into more like cars, and I went into buses, and I got into trains.
Hmm.
Which I do right now is mostly trains most of the time because that's like one of my things. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, man, and we definitely got to talk about the trains because I'll tell you,
Yeah,
in addition to the crash course you just gave me on volcanoes, after reading your bio earlier, I learned
yeah,
because I knew you were a big fan of trains, but I really
yeah.
learned something. I didn't know anything about Pullman porters. This is a term I just learned, and you've got on right on your bio on projectonward.org. One of the first images that pops up is of a Pullman porter. Can you tell
Yeah.
us? Can you tell us a little bit about the history there and why that kind of inspired you?
Okay, the Portman Porters was like the original conductors from many years ago, way before our time. And so I remember doing that portrait. It was more like a Black history subject matter. And so and people knew I liked the trade, so they decided, okay, like let's do something for like Black history. And the Portman Porters was mostly African Americans at the time. So I said, okay, let me just do an image of a portrait of one of the porters. And I decided to do it in oil. And it took about maybe like 6 months for me to finish that piece. So when I finished it, you know, and it was like about, I say like a couple of months after I finished that piece, that's when it sold. So I was really happy with that. And like a lot of people was surprised it was in oil because I actually took my time with it, you know, mixing the colors and everything and, you know, going back and forth, making sure everything was all right. Because a lot of times, like when people do portraits, it's like you know, they get the eyes and the nose mixed up, so I had to keep going back over there to make sure everything was, you know, right. Because I did that from black and white image, and I had to transfer it to color.
Yeah, it's spectacular. And you know, I was so interested reading about it. I did a little bit of research, and
Hmm.
as you mentioned, mostly African American, mostly former slaves initially, the
Yeah.
Pullman Porters, and also, I mean, really, everyone watching should go look this up. You don't even necessarily need to be interested in trains. Just if you're interested in American history, it's really
Oh yeah.
something you should read. I mean, they formed the first Black Union, which was really
Yeah.
amazing. The Pullman Porters, really like an amazing piece of American history. That's so amazing. Let's talk about trains themselves,
Yes.
locomotives. I mean,
Yeah, that's my, yeah,
like
that's,
major theme in your work. When did you first become interested in trains?
since I was about 1 year old.
Yeah.
Again, I used to stay on the west side of Chicago, Austin neighborhood. Before it became the Green Line, it used to be called the Lake and Dan Ryan train at the time. And then the Metro used to run right across the street from my house, also known as the Chicago Northwestern Railroad. And then and there used to be freight trains to go over there. They used to all like ride right past the Brock Candy factory. So that's how I got involved in trains.
Hmm.
As I was about maybe like 2.5, maybe 3 years old. So my father, he used to buy me train sets. Every time he bought me a train set, I used to bring it up. And then as I got a little bit older, when I moved to the back of the yards at about 5.5, I used to try to like make models and stuff out of like my trains and my racing cars, just try to make like a city out of it. And that's how I got involved with like the whole like train and architectural stuff like that. So my work goes all the way back. I was about, you know, really young. So
Yeah, amazing. I gotta change the subject real quick just to apologize to anyone that can hear my dog barking in the background. She's a little excited tonight. Um, we'll try to distract her with something. I might have a ball to throw or something. Here we go. Oh, Maggie. There you go. I'm honestly surprised that hasn't happened sooner. In 22 interviews, that's the first time she's had an outburst like that. Anyway, sorry about
yeah.
that, Andrew.
Uh,
um, but I'm actually gonna move to another room here. We can edit all this out later. Don't worry.
oh yeah.
But let's talk. Let's talk. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to your work with
Yes.
trains, because there's a rich history there, obviously, and
Hmm.
you also you know, you mentioned your personal relationship, having grown up near the Green Line and the Metro station, and
Yeah.
your work has been immortalized at one of the train stops. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was weird because I remember like right after New Year 2014, I had got a call from at the time when Mark and Rob, you know, they called my phone. They was like, "You got some good news to tell." I was like, "What is it?" It's like, "You got the commission for the CTA project." I was like, "Really?" So they was like, "Yeah, you're gonna be featured on you're gonna be on one of the real live stop." So I said, "Wow, that's interesting." And so ever since then, like, you know, my whole Facebook page blowing up, everybody whatever. And then after that, like everything took off. So we decided to so they gave me the 47 stop. So we decided to do all like African American history and stuff. So we decided on doing portraits and combine like some architectural stuff. And so the first thing, make these pictures look great. And so as you see in the background, you can see the 47 red line stop right behind me right here.
Yeah.
And then one of the portraits right here, which is actually, oh, some of the portraits right here. You have Gwendolyn Brooks. And a lot of people don't even know that these portraits are actually done in color pencil. And they thought they was actually like actual photographs. And nah, these are actual Prismacolor pencils right here that I did from scratch.
Wow.
So because I was actually working on 6 portraits at the same time, and I was also working on the architectural stuff, like the Union Stockyards, and then this arch in Bronzeville, and then like right behind it, you can see the cow that go to the Union Stockyard. You can also see that out there too. I did the cow, in graphite, but I did the one above it on the Union Stockyards. I did that in pen and ink and watercolor, and I also did the and then these little figures right here. That's a part of the Union Stockyards. Those done in pen and ink as well, and I also did like a modification of those. So I transferred those to black and white. You can see like detailed faces. I did those in pen and ink and watercolor as well. And then also the migration of the South too as well. And you can see like, well, not on this one, but when you see the actual project at the train station, you're gonna see like the whole, detailed, faces and stuff. So I pretty much kind of made everything up because you can hardly see like on the picture with us. So it's kind of like you have to basically use like your creativity. So it's like, I'm not just an artist, I'm also a designer as well. So it's like I design stuff and also create stuff out of my head and put it on a piece of paper. So
yeah, spectacular. And it's a permanent installation there, isn't that right?
Yeah.
That's going to be there forever. Yeah, that's so cool.
And then we have it's Margaret Burrs, Ida B. Wells, and then we have we got Muddy Waters, which is my favorite right here actually. Like I actually had a lot of fun walking on Muddy Waters.
Oh, excellent. Can we take a look at that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
And that was my favorite right there.
That's, yeah, incredibly well done. Wow.
And then I did Buddy Guy too as well. I don't know where he at, but you can kind of see up here, that's Buddy Guy. Like I actually did this portrait twice because somebody commissioned me to do another portrait of Buddy Guy, and I really did it for him with a red background for it, so it looked pretty nice.
Yeah, that's spectacular. Of course, yeah, I mean, another institution here in Chicago, I mean, blues music, of course, so that's pretty amazing that you've tapped into the spirit of that too. And, the portraits, your human subjects, as well as these, more architectural themes,
right,
look so realistic. I mean, I swear, Andrew, there have been a couple of instances where I've seen some of your work and I've had to do a double take because I could swear it was a photograph I was looking at. It's so realistic. And the thing is, it's not like hyper-realism doesn't necessarily make it good, with artists. You can see there are other artists who are able to make something look like it's a photograph, but it kind of lacks soul. But yours still has that soul. It still has that emotion when you really stop and take it in. I mean, there's something, again, like that Krakatoa is an amazing example. I'm looking at another one of like this that's on Instagram actually, of a building that's kind of been that's been sort of half torn down, that just looks like there's something sort of tragic and beautiful about just the image and the way you draw it and the very like muted colors that you use sometimes. That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about, I love this piece. Can you tell us a little bit about what this building is and what inspired you to capture that?
I'm going to take you all the way back to 2013.
All right. I'm ready.
That's the year that I actually started this piece actually. So this what happened. At that time, I probably have to say from, I say like late 2000s and like around early 2010s, it's gonna sound kind of weird, but I have to say it anyway. I used to break records in the studio. I used to, and what I mean by that, I used to work on 20 pieces, maybe 20, 30 pieces all at the same time.
Wow.
And finish one night. I used to do that every time. And every time I used to do that, like they'd be like, wow, like how do you finish all this work? Because I used to stay up to like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, just, finish up pieces and listen to music at the same time. So this is one of the pieces that actually started on in 2013, because it's actually 3 versions of this. It's this is one black and white, and then we got 2 color versions. So yes, when I started this piece, the sketching part was a little bit kind of like a little difficult, because it was like I had to like sketch everything out, for the interior, but it's like the exterior wasn't as hard as the interior, because it's like I had to go all the way in and make sure everything was in the right format. you also have to make sure like your line work was in there. I had to do all that work. And then also while I was doing this, I was working on some other pieces at the same time. And so, and I kept putting this piece on hold. And so every time I kept putting it on hold, it was like, okay, I'm gonna finish it, And I finally got to it, you know. They was like, yeah, you need to go ahead, you know, and finish this piece. I was like, okay, I'll just finish it. But anyway, this is Uptown back in 2003. It's on Racine and Leland. And a lot of people don't know this is actually pen and ink and pen and ink and watercolor.
Wow.
So you can't really tell. All this over here is actually all pen. I think some of the stuff over here I done in ink, and then like the sky I did in watercolor. And the way I start all this off is that, like I said, I do like a soft sketch. And what I mean by that, I pretty much lay everything out, and I go in with my mechanical pencil, kind of, you know, retrace everything over, and then I use black pens, I use gray pens to outline the whole, you know, shapes and stuff, and I go out with my brush pens and start really working the detail out. And as I'm doing that, I'm also, you know, figuring out like how I'm gonna do this demolished brickwork. And I'm also trying to figure out like how I'm gonna get, because this was pretty hard right here. Like this is very difficult because you got to go all the way in and try to like get all that like detail for the inside, and then come on the outside. You have to figure out like how I'm gonna do the reflection of the car, and then. But this up here was like very tedious because this took me about maybe like 15, 30 minutes for me to do, just to go all the way in and keep switching pens, you know, back and forth, just to make sure every color was right. This piece right here is like a different shades of gray. This is more like it's neutral gray, it's warm gray, and it's cool gray, and I think there's a little bit of a tone gray. So
wow, is that kind of part of what attracted you to this? Was that it was almost kind of an exercise in working with these different tones? Yeah, that's really fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, my like my detail work, like sometimes like on certain pieces I might not draw as realistic or be as detailed as I really want to be, but if I'm really involved with it, I'm really gonna go like all the way in, like I did with this piece right here. And I wanted to make sure like everything was right on it, you know, everything, you know, was looking good. Let me see what else is on here. I need to make sure.
Hold it.
now Andrew, you mentioned that during that period of time you were working on like over 20 pieces at once, and were they all this detailed as well?
Most of them, yes.
Wow.
Like pretty much all of them. Like I used to come into the studio, it would be like pieces laid all over the table, and you could see like every detail. It wasn't no mistakes at all. Like you could just see everything. There was big pieces and there was small pieces all at the same time.
Incredible. Wow.
So,
Let's talk a little bit about like the evolution of your process and your approach to art making, because I'm really curious if, you know, you said that you started when you were real young.
yeah.
And was this attention to detail something that you kind of always had?
Always.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. And how long would you say it generally takes you to complete something like this?
Well, depends on the composition and the detail. Some pieces might take maybe like a month. Some might take 3 weeks. Some might take, you know, 2 months. It all depends on the subject matter. Like I said, again, I put this on hold for too long, and then when I finally decided, you know, get into it, that's when it took me like about maybe like a couple of months, I should say, at least.
Wow. Now, how about how you mentioned, of course, the different materials that you use and that you'll mix often within one piece. What was it like for you at the beginning when you first started? What were you kind of using more like pencil or marker exclusively when you were younger, and then kind of started gradually working in other materials, or what was that evolution like?
Okay, so I started off using crayons first.
Oh, right.
So I
Hmm.
started using crayons, and then I started using regular number two pencils, and then I started using regular, writing pens, and then I started using color pencils when I was about 7 years old. And then I used markers. I stuck with markers for like almost over 10 years. And then then I went back to color pencil, and then I got it into pen and ink. And then after I got it to pen and ink, then I went into no, actually, no, I'll take that back. I went to charcoal, and then I got it to pen and ink, and then I got it to more to painting. I think I started off. I think it was either acrylic or watercolor, or I kind of switched it around a little bit. When I first entered Gallery 7, it was I think it was acrylic. Yeah, it was acrylic first, and then I had to retrace back to watercolor, and then I went into oil, and then I went right back to I think acrylic, and I got to gouache. Even some of my gouache pieces look like watercolor pieces, but the difference between gouache and watercolor is that watercolor, it's like it has more like that semi type of gloss to it. It's almost similar to like acrylic, and gouache is more like opaque watercolor, but it has like that matte finish look to it. So it's a
Hmm.
little different. So when I got involved in that, that's when I got into like the dip pens, like the regular ink stuff. So I got into that, and then I got into I got into clay. I got into what else I got into? I'm trying to think. It's a lot,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's
I
really.
also do stuff on the computer too.
Oh wow,
Yeah, I did stuff with like little Photoshop, uh,
nice.
Illustrator, 3D CAD programs like Adobe Maya.
Hmm.
Last year I was studying Creo at a school called Design Engine. I did some other programs, so it's a lot. So
That's
I'm pretty much,
fantastic.
if you had to label my style, I would probably have to say I'm very versatile. I'm extremely
Oh
versatile.
yeah, I think that's obvious to anyone who's seen your work, and it's great. I mean that you're always kind of expanding your horizons and kind of like looking toward new front artistic frontiers. I mean that's I'm sure that helps motivate you and keeps you feeling creative and inspired. So that's awesome, man. Yeah, definitely. I gotta point out one of the comments here real quick.
Okay.
Robin, we were talking about your early days, of course. She said, speaking of when you were young, tell us the Air Jordan story. What's that all about?
Okay, so I actually got a couple of stories to tell y'all.
All right.
I'm gonna talk about the Jordan situation first. Um, I was about 6 years old. I just moved to the back of the yards. I was just coming from out west. It was about maybe like I think it was like early fall. I think it was like the early fall of 1992. So it was these pair of Jordans that my cousin had, that his father had bought him. Rest in peace to his father, which is my uncle, who passed away like some months ago. Rest his soul. So anyway, his father bought these Air Jordans that I wanted so bad,
Hmm.
and I told my mom, I said I want
It's
Jordans.
important to note, Andrew. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's also important to note. 1992, Michael Jordan's like the one of the most famous people on the planet, and especially in Chicago. I mean, so Jordans were highly sought after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, sorry. Go ahead with your story.
So bad. Um, so I told my mom, I said, look, I want these Jordans right here. I was really young. So I was already very active. So I was doing a whole lot at that time. Um, so she's like, tell your dad. So I told my dad I want these Jordans. And so, and I guess at the time, like, I guess like at the time, I guess he was going to job and stuff like that. Because I guess things was like pretty like rough at the time. I guess when they have a lot of money. So he wound up not buying me the Jordans. So he wound up buying me Nikes.
Hmm.
But these ain't what I wanted. So what I did was, so I saw the gym shoe. The next time I went on my cousin's house, so I looked at the gym shoe very closely. I said, okay, I know what I'm gonna do when I get home. I was already, thinking of something real crazy. So what I did was, my mom took me home. So I said, you know what? So I took like a blue ballpoint pen and I drew it out each side, and I took some Scotch tape and I had some Patrick Ewing gym shoes. So I took each side and I cut everything out, put the Scotch tape on. So I put one side on the left side of my shoe, and I put the whatever the right side was, I put that on my left side of the shoe, and I did the same thing with the right foot. And I walked around my house. I told my mom, I said, "These my new Jordans." They said, "How do you do that?" I was like, "I just drew the shoe out. Those are the shoes I
Amazing.
want." So yeah. Also before that, when I was about 4 years old, me and my father, I was staying with him at the time. My mom used to work at the post office, and my dad used to work at Goodwill, so he used to bring all these toys home. So I was going to preschool, so he decided, let's make me a coat hanger. And so I actually helped my father at the time build my first coat hanger. So I was, giving him the nails, putting everything else. I did all that when I was about 4. And he just recently just told me, like maybe like a month ago, that coat hanger was still up there at the same place we used to stay at on the west side. He's like, it's like, never took it down. He's like, no, we kept it up.
Wow.
So it was a good memory.
That's
There's
fantastic.
it's a lot of stuff that I used to do when I was really little, before all this started to happen.
Yeah, right. Well, so were your parents, did they kind of recognize your talent early on and really
Yeah, they
encourage
did.
it? Yeah,
They
that's so
did.
great.
They
I
did.
always love to hear that. I mean, that really, it's so cool because I know, like, a lot of artists, not just the artists at Project Onward, sometimes their art comes from kind of like a dark place. Maybe they didn't have that relationship with their parents. Maybe they didn't even grow up with parents. But it's always so nice when you do have that encouragement, and you don't have to you don't have to feel like it's something that you should be embarrassed by, or something
Right.
that's not gonna like ever turn into anything. Even if you don't
Oh
ever
yeah.
make a living doing it, it's just getting that kind of reinforcement from your support system, from your family. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's gotta be an amazing feeling as a kid, right?
Oh yeah. It is. It is.
Hmm. And the fact that they still so clearly, I mean, that hanger story is so nice. I mean, that really just warms my heart. It's really clear. Yeah, they're very proud of the work you've done. Um, let's talk about your journey to Project Onward, because I mentioned at the top of the interview, you've been there since day one. What is it, 16
Yeah.
years now? Is that right?
16 years. Yes.
So we've heard from some of the other artists, a lot about the days at like the Cultural Center and the transition to the current location at the Bridgeport Arts Center.
Oh, yeah.
But I would just love to hear kind of like your personal take on the evolution of Project Onward, and let's start by just, how did you get involved with Project Onward?
Well, I I joined Gallery 37 back in like 2003 when I was about 16. I was going to my 17th birthday, like about maybe like a month and a half, and it was this guy named Mark Jackson who used to work here. He he asked me, he saw my work at the time. He started asking me a lot of questions and stuff. So it's more like a little interview, like a little smaller interview or whatever that I had at the time. And so he was trying to figure out, like, where do I want to take my talent to? I said I want to, become a great artist. And that just left it like that. And then like maybe like a year later, I would probably have to say like in the summer 2004, I had signed up for Gallery 37. I think it was Painting Studios. So then I found out that I wasn't in Painting Studios no more. So it says Project On. I said, what is Project On? Like, what is that? So I went to the room, because we used to be a part of Gallery 37, and we was on the I think it was the 4th floor. So I went to this room. It was like a studio, with like some of the artists that I recognized, from the past was there. And then I ended up showing up. So that's how I ended up getting to the program at the time. And then we left Gallery 37 like in 2005. We moved to the Cultural Center. And then 2013, we came to the Bridgeport Arts Center. So that's how that began.
Yeah, fantastic. So how's it been now since the move to Bridgeport Arts Center? I mean, I know you've been there for a while now, but I mean, because that's the only I became involved with Project Onward. You know,
Yeah.
it's the only space that I've ever known. But it really is just there's a special energy there, and I mean, you know, you're in the studio right now for the interview, and that's so cool to see you there because I really miss seeing all the artists there. But tell me about just being there and being around the other artists and just the creative energy in the room.
Well, you know what? I just it's like when I see everybody in the studio, you know, doing their thing or whatever, you know, create works, I was like, okay, let me try to get in the zone too as well. So it's like everybody has their own thing going on. It's like you have people be on their tablets, you know, doing their little work. So I'll just be the one, you know, that come into the studio and then bust out my work and put my headphones on as I'm listening to my music. You know, I just be, you know, working on my stuff and thinking about like, okay, how I'm gonna get this done and stuff like that. Like, so it be like that all the time. You know, when we come in and it's like everybody's like working. You know, you got people walking around. You know, I might come in and have like a huge cup of coffee or whatever, or with some espresso shots. Going like I do that all the time. It's like, why you get your coffee strong? Because I got to stay up. You know, I got to you know, finish projects. And so, and I mean, like right now, it's like everybody's like how they like, you know, they own rhythm. You know, the way I get my rhythm going is music. You know, and the music I listen to actually really helps me create, you know, the work that I create now. You know, and I've been doing that since my whole entire life.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because anyone who has watched this series knows that I love to ask the artists about music that they enjoy, especially when it's part of your process. Clearly it is. So I'd love to know what you're usually listening to when you're making art.
I listen to pretty much everything, everything that gets my day going. If I like the beat of the music, I'm gonna, you know, play it on my MP3 player, or I might play it through my phone. I listen to a lot of old school R&B music, a lot of, you know, old school rap, some modern rap, not too much, mostly underground stuff. I also listen to, you know, some other music, like a little bit of rock and roll music, and some other music too, like, you know, something that basically get my day going. So that's pretty much get my day going, and that's what I create, you know, all this like all this like crazy detail work. So when people ask like, how do you do all this detail? I say music.
Yeah. Sounds like it's always something kind of upbeat though, right? To kind of get you in the zone and keep you moving, motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. So I see another one of your amazing portraits that's on projectonward.org right now is speaking of music, there's a really great Lisa Left Eye Lopez portrait on here, of course, you know, RIP, the crazy and the crazy sexy cool TLC. I mean, she is so iconic, and you really I really love this image of her actually that you chose for this portrait because it definitely, you know, she was such a like larger than life, really colorful character, but this is like a really more understated image of her. What was it about that kind of attracted you to it?
Here it is right here.
All right. There we go.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, how do you choose the you know, cultural figures that you're gonna include in one of your works?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, I got this thing when it comes down to portraits. Like, portraits to me, it's like another form of architecture. And a lot of people don't see that. The way I choose my portraits, I choose by, you know, like the stuff they did, how they influence other people. But if I see something, you know, a little bit more interested, you know, in a facial features, I want to draw it out. The real reason why I chose Lisa Left Eye Lopez, because she was one of my favorite TLC members at the time. And so I decided, okay, let me do a portrait of her. And I did it. And actually, this is like my second one I did. I actually did a one that was much bigger. This is more like a smaller one right here. So I did like two of them. And so when I chose her, I was like, okay, let me try to see if I could hook her up. This is actually from the cover of their last album.
Okay.
And so, yeah. This is color pencil and marker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm gonna talk about the whole color pencil and marker thing on cardboard, because we didn't start doing cardboard to like late 2009 when I did my self portrait, which is this is one of them, and I had another one that was before that. I think it sold, so I was doing marker at the time, because at first it was like, okay, like I didn't really trust color pencil on cardboard at first. So then as I kept going, and I just kept like, like evolving the style a little bit, and then about like late 2010, that's when I got to more with the color pencil on the cardboard and started making it a lot more realistic. And then like 2011, they became a lot more realistic than they was in the past. So it's like a 1, 2, 3 type of step. That was a portrait. Oh yeah, this is my third portrait right here that I did back in 2009 actually. This is when I had braids back in 2008 actually.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is one of my old looks at the time.
Man, that's awesome. Good look. I like it.
Thank you. I actually took my second State ID photo, looks something similar to this
Uh-huh.
at the time. Yeah, this is back in, and this is all marker before I got into the whole color pencil and marker on cardboard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Andrew, I got to point out real quick, it's really important to note, we've talked a lot about the subject matter and the inspiration, but you also clearly have such a great understanding of technique and composition, and you clearly really know what you like, and you really know what's appropriate for any particular piece. And that is, just from listening to you describe it, that's really clear that you have such a great understanding of it. And I mean, this is coming from someone, I don't have any real artistic talent at all, but I mean, I love listening to you explain it, and I really appreciate you describing in such great detail your process. And you are, I mean, completely self-taught, isn't that right? You learned this all on your own.
Yes, I am.
That's amazing. I mean, you really, what inspired you? Because when we're talking specifically about, what would be considered kind of outsider art or intuitive art, and anyone who's watched this program knows that the artists at Project Onward kind of really run the spectrum of like neurodiversity, and it's clear that while they all share that passion, not all of them necessarily really understand the intricacies of art making as much. And it's like, was that always something did that attract you as much to art as just like the art itself? Not so much just the expression, but the actual technique behind it. I mean, it seems like you have a real genuine interest in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't know, like when it comes to certain subject matters, like I always pick and choose what materials I would like to use the most.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever materials I use the most, like I always try to put like 200% of it. I always try to put like everything into it because I want everything to look great. And like if I'm doing like an architectural piece, like a regular architecture drawing, like I'm gonna use pen and ink. Like I might use like some regular ink or maybe some watercolor to to get that going. So what I do is like, I try to find like an image that I really like the most, and then whatever image that I pick out, like I just try to go like, okay, let me see if I can make this look right. Okay, should I use this material or should I use this color? And like a lot of times, like I'm always have like a blank piece of paper, and I always make like a palette. I call that my palette because I always make sure that if I'm going to use this color or these pencils or this material, I need to test it out first. And if I like it, I'll go for it. But if I don't like it, I'll try to find another material. Or I might go to the art store and say, okay, I'm going to get this material right here, use this. And so I always try to find other ways to make something look great. A lot of times I might not buy all these materials. A lot of times I might use like one, material just to make something look great. Like one of my pen drawings, I'm going to show you right here. Oh, actually, you know what? Prime example. like you may think like this is the Tiffany Dawn right here. Like you may think like I use like watercolor. This is actual all pen right here. Like I actually
Wow.
use all pen. But there are about maybe like 5, 6 different brands of pens that I use for the Tiffany Dawn.
Amazing.
So
Wow. So yeah, it's the different brands have kind of different consistencies to them,
yeah,
and you just really like to explore that clearly and figure out just what's right for the not just the piece, but like each specific, you know, part of the piece. I mean, and you know, Robin just pointed out in the comments too. This is also a really interesting fact to point out. With your work on cardboard, especially, you really make the surface of the cardboard part of the composition as well. You know, it's really amazing how you use just every element to make these really incredible detailed works.
thanks.
Yeah, of course. We've got some questions coming in. I do want to get to viewer questions, but this is a good one since we're already kind of on the subject. Twinette Potery says, "Holy smokes! Wow, what are your favorite pen brands?"
Good question.
And question two, that piece specifically that you just held up. How long did that take you?
This is another piece that I started on during the time I was ready to break some records at the time of the amount of pieces. Um, so this piece took a while because I was actually working on this one and the Uptown piece at the same time. I also got a small video of me working on those two pieces at the same time, actually, which I record on my phone. Um, so with this one right here, I started in 2013. I put it on hold, and it took about I say about 2 or 3 months. So I finished this one right before I finished the Uptown piece. So I finished the Uptown piece like the next day.
Wow.
So I was to like about like 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, and I had to be at work at about 7 p.m. So I had to get some rest at that time. So yeah, yes, it took about 3 months for me to like finish it up since we had like the whole pandemic. It would have took me less time, but I just kept putting it on hold for so long, and I just kept like looking at it. I was like, okay, I got to get this out the way. Like I'm just tired of looking at it.
Right.
I was like, okay, this one I'm gonna do here, and I'm gonna do this and do that, try to knock that out so I can move on to the next piece. And so I had to really think like, okay, should I use like the watercolor technique? I was like, nah, I ain't even do that. So I was like, okay, let me just do what I can with the because this is all Faber-Castell's brush pens. Is what I was using. So to answer your question, what's my favorite brand of pens? I probably had to say the Faber-Castells, and the Faber-Castells and the Tombow Dual Brush pens, which I use those a lot.
Yeah.
Those are like my favorite brands. The reason being because they come in all different shades of colors. You can actually paint with those Faber-Castell pens.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Maybe we can get some pen sponsorships for Andrew here because
Yes.
he knows what he's talking about.
Yes.
If anyone's listening at any of these pen companies,
Show you this.
send us an email.
Show you this one piece. Now this is the color pen version.
Oh, I've seen this one.
This
This is another one where I honestly had to do a double take. I thought I was looking at a photo first.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
what is this? I forgot the name of that place. It's in Bronzeville.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name of it, but it's one of these. It used to be a building where the artists used to stay at. So I think I did like 3 different versions of this actually. This is one of the pieces. Let's see if I got another one. Oh, it's the black and white one.
Oh,
And,
excellent.
and I got another one if I could find it somewhere.
Andrew, is it common for you to do multiple versions of the same subject? Is that something that you like to do
Yeah.
often? Yeah.
So this is
Excellent.
the first black and white one,
Uh-huh.
which is the panoramic shot, and then this is the second one. This is the 2-point perspective one,
Yeah.
and then we got the third one, and I'm trying to find the fourth one though. Um, if I can find it somewhere. Uh,
Well, Andrew, while you're looking for that, I wanna ask you another question because unfortunately we're gonna be running out of time here pretty soon. I mean,
okay.
I could talk to you about this all night, but I want to know. We discussed your piece at that red line stop a little earlier, but there's part of that story that I don't know that I'm going to need you to explain a little further. Is it true you got to go to Germany as part of that project?
Yes, Germany was great.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Munich to me was like a second home when I got there. It was strange how I found out I was going to go to Germany. I think I got the call and found out I was going to Munich, Germany. I was like, really? I'm going to Europe, and I always want to go to Europe too. But when I want to go to Europe, I always want to go to Paris first before I go anywhere else. So I end up going to Munich, and so they's like, yeah, you're going to Munich, for the critique to see the installation of your project in the making. I was like, okay, bring it. Like I always want to go.
Uh-huh.
So I remember going through through the process, trying to get the passport. I was like, wow, this is reality right here. Like I'm actually going to Europe. And I remember that day I was actually going to fly. I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually going to Europe. So it was just like, okay, like this is my first plane ride, and like let me see, and like wow, the first time I took a plane ride was like 2002. So it's been about maybe like about 12 years apart actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got to Munich, I was like, wow, this is amazing right here. So Munich was beautiful. It was great. I get to walk around a lot. Saw a lot of places, like a lot of architectural stuff, read history on,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and a lot of those European cities, I mean, yeah, there are great examples of
yeah,
architecture here in the United States, but the U.S. still such a new country, in comparison to somewhere like Germany. I mean, you've got you got castles and
yeah.
cathedrals and things that have been there for centuries. I mean, that must have been pretty amazing for someone who appreciates architecture as much as you do.
Mhm.
That must have been pretty amazing, right?
Speaking of castles, I did a castle piece. I think it was called the North Strangewood Castle. I don't know if I pronounced that right. So I did that castle when I did my third solo show, and it sold too. So it was like an aerial shot of the castle, and you could see people, and you could see like the whole trees and the mountains and all that. Like I actually went up there. Actually, they took us like on a tour bus, and we went all the way up like this elevation of mountains and stuff. And I got to actually take like pictures of. I actually shot about over 2,000 pictures when I was in Germany.
Wow, that's amazing.
1,000
Wow. Now
on camera too.
when you take photos, do you ever take them with the intention of them maybe drawing them later on or painting them
Yeah,
later on? Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, I did the castle. I
Uh-huh.
did some other pieces too. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull out one of them right now. This is one of the pieces. This is one of the places that I went to in Germany.
And was this based on a photo that you took, Andrew?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow, I had no idea. I just kind of assumed that maybe you were just like pulling these off of Google or something. I
Uh,
didn't realize you were actually
this
taking the
is
photos too. That's spectacular.
this is pen and watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yes, you can't really tell, but this is definitely pen and ink and watercolor.
Wow.
Um, Speaking of watercolor, okay, so the watercolors I was using at first, like the ones in the tray, I was using those like the ones that you saw, like like the starter sets in the way. They sort of like the starter sets. So I was using those for a minute, but then so I started using like so I wasn't really like feeling the whole quality at first. So I was like, okay, let me use the hardcore. It's what I call hardcore watercolor tool. So I was using those, and you can see like it looks very similar to acrylic, but you can't really tell because I use like the spray finisher. The finisher could always use that after I'm done with a piece of work. So yeah,
fantastic.
And you can see people walking, the area, the trees, the grass, and all that.
Wow.
So yeah, this is a Munich.
Fantastic. Wow. Andrew, I can't believe this hour has just been flying by. We've only got 5 minutes left before Instagram's going to boot us. So I want to get to some viewer questions. But I got to say, you are, in addition to being such a talented artist, you're clearly such a knowledgeable artist and and just such an engaging storyteller. I mean, I can't believe that our time's almost up here. So thank you. I've learned a lot from this interview. Thank you so much, Andrew. But yeah, thanks, man. So I do want to turn it over to our viewers real quick, see if we got any questions that you're dying to know. So please, now's the time to leave them in the comments. I did notice one earlier. Someone asked if you had an Instagram, and I don't believe you do, but there's some really wonderful examples of Andrew's work on Project Onward's Instagram. So definitely, and hashtag Andrew Hall and hashtag Andrew Hall Art. We'll pull a lot of those up. But Andrew, I don't know, is that something you'd consider joining Instagram? I'd personally love to see some of your photography too, honestly.
One, but I gotta finish setting it up.
Oh, okay.
I gotta finish setting up the whole Instagram. It's weird because I actually put the page up on New Year's Eve, but I never got a chance to put stuff on there. I haven't been on Facebook in like 6 years, so I'm trying to get back on there.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm always ready to just be done with all that. Honestly, it can be kind of stressful sometimes. So you're not missing much.
Yeah, and a lot of times like I don't really got like the time, and the time of the patience because outside, outside the studio, like I work like 12 hours, depends on the week or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm always tired, I'm always, moving around a lot. So it's like I never really had time for social media too much.
Right. Well, I think we might have time for one more question. Okay. Twinette Pottery chimed in again, and she wants to know if you have any plans to go back to clay work at all.
Yes. The reason being because again, like I said before, I'm also a designer. One of the things that I would like to get involved in is making actual clay models of my prototype designs to also make outside my regular artwork. And what I mean by that is that like I do concept designs of locomotives and stuff that I create from my sketchbook, and I always want to make like a model of my designs and show that off as a prototype because I always want to design, trains for different companies and stuff. Like I always been wanting to do that my entire life, and of course, the whole architecture thing too. So I always wanted to tap into that. Like I would like to make models of buildings that I design too. Just pretty much anything. So I'm mostly into when it comes to clay. I'm mostly interested in design and prototyping pretty much. As far as regular artwork, like portraits, which is something I'm also interested in too as well. So definitely, yes.
Excellent. Well, she was very happy with that answer. She says, "Hell yeah!" I'm excited about that too. We got less than a minute left. Real quick, I want to just remind everyone to go to projectonward.org, buy some stuff, donate, volunteer if you can, and thanks to everyone, obviously. Also, keep an eye. I don't really have time to do all the individual plugs, but a lot of really cool stuff is coming up over the next few weeks and few months. A lot of really great shows and installations and stuff. So keep an eye on all the social media and projectonward.org for that. My last question for you, Andrew, before I let you go. We don't usually like to get political on this thing, so it's not a political question at all, but I'm wondering how you feel about President-elect Joe Biden, the fact that he is such a train enthusiast. That's got to be pretty cool, right?
Oh man, I'm very, very, very happy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was so happy that he won. Like I was like, wow, like it really became a reality. Like I was so happy. Like I knew he was gonna win because I felt it in my heart, because I was like, okay, like something has to happen. And the reason why he really won because he knows how to speak, very well. He's very straightforward. He's very
Yeah.
direct about what he wants to happen, and he sees what's going on. He noticed this is a pandemic that's happening right now, and I just found out that the pandemic's got a lot worse. But hopefully, when he step into office, he will definitely, clean this up for us because like the social distance stuff is like
Yeah. I
horrible.
think I think we're all feeling a lot more optimistic now. All of a sudden, he and Kamala both seem like they know what
Yeah,
they're doing, and
first
yeah,
who's black female vice president, which is
yeah,
another great thing. Yes.
yeah, definitely
Um,
reason to celebrate for sure.
yes.
Real quick while we're on the subject, I mean, I don't, and we might get cut off, so forgive me if that does happen, but uh,
Part two, so.
yeah, for sure. How is it for you during the pandemic and working from home? I mean, it's actually we're past the hour now, so maybe the rules have changed on Instagram. Maybe we're not going to get cut off here after all. But so
Okay.
yeah, so we'll wrap it up soon though. I don't want to keep you all
Okay.
night, but
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
yeah, but I
It's,
do want to know. I do want to know about working from home, and if you're still able to kind of tap into that same creative place when you're at home.
it's a little difficult. Um, like when I first heard about they were shutting the city down, it was like I felt like wow, like this is the end of a lot of stuff, and it was pretty difficult because it was like there was no social life, there was really no going out, and at that time, I was in a little tight situation. It was pretty bad, but I figured out a way how to get out of it, but it was kind of hard because it was like because mostly I really go to the library and work on my work, or I might go to like Dunkin' Donuts, or I might go to the OV Transportation Center and work on my stuff like after I'm done like eating. So I'm always doing that. And then like when I come home, I get settled in, I work on my stuff. So I pick about maybe like 3 or 4 places to work besides just home and work on my stuff. But far as like, just sitting there and not able to actually go out and see people and people see what I'm doing and able to, look at my work, it was pretty difficult. It was
Hmm.
but at the same time it was like I was like, okay, I didn't like, what was going on with the whole shut the city down and not able to do a lot of things. So it was like being held hostage. It was almost like being in prison, in a way. But then when they decided to open up the city again, I was like, okay, now I got a little bit of freedom. So now I get to go. So now I get a chance to, get to a library again. Go some of these other places I get to work on my stuff at. Like I'm always carrying a sketchbook. I'm always carrying my supplies, and people always wonder like, why you always carry a heavy bag? Because I got like 3 sketchbooks. I got like my regular work. I got my regular materials for my regular work, and I got my materials for my sketch and stuff. So I always separate that stuff. I always keep them in categories.
Hmm.
Another thing too that happened during the pandemic is the fact that I needed money. I needed to work. So I decided to go look for a job, which I got back in about almost towards the end of March, and I stuck with that job ever since. It's been like 8 months already. So I needed to get finances. I needed all that stuff. So it was tough. It was really hard.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
I
and
know.
the thing is another thing that was kind of hard too, not able to come to the studio and be able to come in and see everybody and do my work and stuff like that. That was pretty tough. So when I remember I got the notice that they was closed the studio down, I was like, damn, this is I said this is not good right here. So I was like, okay, so what I'm gonna do? So I said, okay, I'm gonna get all my materials and figure something out. So ever since then, I was like, okay, I gotta work until like something happened where they say, okay, studio's open again. So ain't no telling when we might open again. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a rough time for everyone, and I'm glad that it sounds like there was a period where it was kind of dark for you, but I'm glad it sounds like you're feeling optimistic and like you're
Oh
feeling
yeah.
creative and yeah, things are looking up for everyone. I think it's not gonna be like this forever. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any advice that you would give to any other artists, especially during these times when they're maybe having a little trouble finding their inspiration?
Well, listen to your favorite music and keep working hard as you can. That's the best advice I can give to everybody that's an artist or anybody that's, going through their ups and downs and stuff. Because music helped me in so many ways to get out of a whole bunch of situations. Speaking of music, like I look at my artwork as like music. It's like I'm singing a song or I'm rapping about something. So if I hear like my favorite rapper or favorite singer or a musician, singing about something, I put that on my artwork. So when people, when they see like how do you do this, I said my music does that. My music is helping me create more. I might listen to a song over and over, like that idea might come in at that particular moment, but then later on down the line, that idea kick in, and once it kicks in, I put it on a piece of paper. I'm like, wow, did I just really just do that? It's like, how did I do that? Music did. Music helped me to put these ideas on this piece of paper. So yes, listen to your favorite music. Move around a little bit. Exercise. No stress. Take care of your mind and body and stuff like that. Go on.
Yeah.
Let nobody tell you what you can do because you can do it. So
Excellent advice for any endeavor, not even just art making. I think that's just good advice in general.
yeah.
All right, so Whitney got one last question in before we wrap it up. She wants to know who your current favorite musician is. Is there anyone you're really excited about right now?
I have a lot of them. Let me see. When it comes to rap music, I had to separate this, like, because it's because you got underground and you got industry people. I'm gonna start with the people first. My favorite rapper right now, of course, is Twista.
Oh, legendary. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up on Twista, since I was about really, really young. I like Busta Rhymes, like Eminem. And I like some of the other people too, if I can remember, like Tech Nine. And then as far as like underground concerned, and my favorite rapper from underground is his name is Twista Sane. And then we have and Chifu. I like Chifu. I just got involved with his music actually. He was actually one of the original fast rappers before Twista and before Busta Rhymes came involved. So I like Chifu.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Never heard of him. I'm definitely gonna check it out though.
As far as my R&B music, I had to start off with the Chicago people first. Rest in peace to one of my favorite singers, Johnny P from Do or Die. He's a great singer. Then we got Danny Boy, and we have Donnell Jones. Of course, we got R. Kelly. Sorry that a situation happened with him. We have some other people too that I really like a lot as far as like R&B concerned. Of course, I like Genuine. I like John B, who I grew up on. There's a lot of people I grew up on that I put on my MP3 player, and every time I listen to them, they just help me come on my ideas all the time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, hey, you're definitely bringing back some memories.
It's grade 8.
Yeah. I mean, I think you and I are about the same age, so you're definitely talking about bunch of classics from my youth. That's for sure.
Yes.
A lot of stuff I came up with too. Man, that's amazing. All right. I don't want to keep it any longer. We've already gone over an hour. Already set. You're still breaking records. Longest interview so far that we've done for Artists at Home.
That's right.
Yeah. So, man, thanks so much. Again, this was so informative and so much fun. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. And thanks again to Whitney for being behind the camera. Sorry I kept you late. Thanks to all the volunteers and staff and artists and all of our viewers and amazing supporters, because you keep the lights on in that studio. So I really hope you all can come back soon and enjoy it. Andrew, have a wonderful night. I'll see you again soon. All right.
Thanks, you too. All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.